So how exactly would the US enforce a blockade on top of an Iranian blockade in the Strait of Hormuz? Instead of risking massive aircraft carriers in such narrow waters, the Navy would rely on guided missile destroyers. They'd likely position one in the north, one in the center, and keep a third on standby as backup. But here is the major problem. Iran wouldn't just fight with missiles. They use sea mines. In this scenario, they could drop them all over the strait, with some even drifting into the waters of neighboring Arab countries. So how do you remove these sea mines? The answer is the literal combat ship. These vessels can launch unmanned surface vehicles to sweep the area. And when surface drones can't reach the deep minefields, the Navy launched the knife fish. This robotic submarine dives straight into the danger zone to hunt and identify buried mines, detonating them safely using magnetic and acoustic signals. But the danger isn't over. Iran still commands a small swarms of fast Mosquito boats capable of threatening massive US warships. To counter this swarm, the US can launch fast-attack Apache helicopters to chase down and neutralize the boats with its 30mm chain gun. What would happen if the United States military was ordered to completely lock down the Strait of Hormuz? The answer is simple but brutal. It wouldn't be a swift, clean victory. It would be the most complex, grueling, and high-risk naval operation since World War II. How does the US establish the front line? The answer lies in Phase 1, the picket line and the quiet hunters. The tip of the spear wouldn't be a massive aircraft carrier. Those are simply too valuable and vulnerable to sit inside a narrow, 21-mile-wide strait. Instead, the US would rely on a wolf pack of 4 to 6 Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers. The destroyers would position themselves in a layered patrol box, one ship watching the northern approach near the Iranian coast, one covering the deep channel in the center, and the third hanging back as a rapid response reserve. Their collective radar coverage creates an invisible dome over the strait. Nothing flies, nothing sails, and nothing launches from shore without being seen within seconds. But what happens beneath the waves? The answer is the Virginia-class attack submarine. Patrolling silently at 400 feet, she carries heavyweight Mark 48 torpedoes capable of snapping surface ships in half. To the IRGC, she is completely invisible. Her job is to handle the nightmare scenario. If Iran's Kilo-class submarines attempt to break the blockade or relay mines in the deep channel, she kills them before they ever surface. But what about the mines? Will they be a problem for the US destroyers? The answer is absolutely yes. This brings us to Phase 2, the robotic minesweepers. Here is where Hollywood imagination fails. A blockade's greatest threat is not always incoming missiles. It's contact mines and influence mines, cheap, patient, and highly lethal devices. Iran has dropped these all over the Strait of Hormuz, and many have even drifted away to neighboring Arab states. So how does the US clear these hidden killers? The answer is the Independence-class littoral combat ship LCS. These ships operate on a completely different philosophy. They are not minesweepers in the traditional sense. They are robotic motherships designed to sit safely outside the minefield while their drones do the work. The process is strictly calculated: detect, localize, classify, identify, and neutralize. This is step 1. The first machine off the littoral combat ship's stern ramp is the common unmanned surface vehicle. It is a 39-foot unmanned boat that operates on the surface, towing sonar equipment behind it like a long, patient finger tracing the seafloor. Here comes step 2. While the common unmanned surface vehicle crawls across the surface, the answer is the MA-60 Seahawk. This helicopter launches from the LCS flight deck and begins scanning the exact same patch of water from 100 feet above, looking for floating threats. Neither the common unmanned surface vehicle nor the Seahawk can go deep. So what dives into the minefield itself? The answer is the knifefish unmanned underwater vehicle. The knifefish goes where no human sailor should, directly into the danger zone. It provides the commander with enhanced hunting capabilities, detecting and identifying buried mines even in highly cluttered underwater environments. To finish the job, the Navy utilizes unmanned surface vessel to drag the unmanned influence sweep system through the water. This brilliant device tricks bottom influence mines into detonating harmlessly by mimicking the magnetic and acoustic sounds of a massive warship. But what happens when Iran unleashes its Mosquito attack boats? The answer comes in Phase 3, air power. Imagine 24 fast attack craft blasting out of Bandar Abbas harbor at 40 knots. They carry rocket-propelled grenades, heavy machine guns, and possibly C-802 anti-ship missiles. They are widely dispersed to make targeting a nightmare. realizing the swarm is too large for the ships to handle alone. Who does the Air Force call? The answer is the A-10 Thunderbolt II. Though usually famous for killing tanks, the A-10 is absolutely devastating against small boats. Flying low and relatively slow, the pilots have excellent visibility. But the A-10 doesn't start with its gun. The opening move is the AGM-65 Maverick missile, a precision electro-optical or infrared guided weapon that the pilot steers directly onto a boat's engine compartment using a screen in the cockpit. Once they get closer, the A-10 unleashes its primary weapon, the massive 30mm Gal-8 Avenger cannon. Firing depleted uranium rounds, it can tear a fiberglass speedboat to shreds in a 1-second burst. The psychological impact of the A-10's signature roar alone is a massive deterrent. Then comes Phase 4, the Apache, death at sea level. While the A-10 operates at medium altitude, the Boeing AW-64E Apache Guardian works right down in the threat envelope, low, fast, and ruthless. Army aviation Apache units would operate from the decks of U.S. Navy amphibious assault ships in the Gulf. Interestingly, the Apache wasn't originally designed for overwater operations. The Apache's weapon of choice against IRGC swarm boats is the AGM-114 Hellfire Romeo missile, a laser-guided precision strike weapon that can be ripple-fired in rapid sequence. These helicopters are fast and can chase down enemy fast attack boats at blistering speed. The Apache also carries a 30mm and 230 chain gun, slower than the A-10's cannon but highly accurate, and 70mm Hydra rockets, which can be fired in salvos against groups of lightly armored craft. But here's the thing. These attacks happen to everyday people too. How might Iran choose to respond, and what strategies will the US military use to address the escalating situation? First, let's look at the choke point. At its narrowest, the strait is only about 39 kilometers or 21 nautical miles wide. This northern coastline belongs to Iran and is highly mountainous. This provides natural camouflage and deep, fortified bunkers for missile launchers. Plus, Iran controls a string of islands like Qeshm, Larak, and Abu Musa. Think of these not as islands, but as heavily armed, stationary small anti-missiles defense system parked right on the edge of the shipping routes. And those routes, they are incredibly tight. Because the waters are shallow and filled with reefs, supertankers are confined to a strict traffic separation scheme. You have one 2-mile wide inbound lane, one 2-mile wide outbound lane, and a 2-mile buffer zone in between. If attacked, these massive cargo ships have virtually zero room to maneuver. But what are the tactics and strategy Iran used to control this narrow corridor? To block the Strait of Hormuz, you have to control the islands. And the IRGC relies on a triad of fortified outposts, each with a very specific and very deadly role. Here's strategy number 1, the Larak Island. Think of this as the choke point enforcer. Larak sits right at the throat of the strait, looming directly over international shipping lanes. The strategy here is all about close quarters intimidation. Because it's right on top of the transit corridor, IRGC fast attack boats staged here can reach a passing cargo ship in mere minutes. For the crew, they have zero time to react. Larak enforces strict no-move zones. Drones launch to monitor stationary tankers while speedboats physically surround them. If a captain decides to start their engines, they open fire. Then comes number 2, the Qeshm Island, the heavy arsenal. If Larak is a knife at the throat, Qeshm is the sledgehammer. It's the largest island in the Persian Gulf and serves as the IRGC's primary military hub. Its rugged mountainous terrain hides a labyrinth of underground bunkers and mobile anti-ship missile launchers. Qeshm is designed to launch heavy anti-ship missiles like the P-15 Hermit. Packed with drone bases and radar installations, it is the strategic anchor of Iran's coastal defense. Then comes number 3, the attack point, Abu Musa, or the forward outpost. Located further south right on the doorstep of rival Arab states, Abu Musa is a heavily fortified early warning center. It extends Iran's anti-access or area denial bubble deep into the Gulf. Radars here track incoming Allied warships and cargo vessels long before they reach the choke point. It's a launch pad that drastically widens the threat zone. So how did they attack the cargo ship? First, Iran will launch the fast attack swarm. The IRGC deploys fleets of small, radar-evading speedboats clocking in at 50 to 70 knots. 10 to 20 of these boats will swarm a single cargo ship from 360 degrees. They zip in close, targeting weak points with heavy machine guns and shoulder-fired missiles. They aim for the bridge to blind the ship, and the engine room to leave it dead in the water. Hidden within this chaos are unmanned suicide vessels, remote-controlled drone boats packed with explosives, steered directly into the hull to blow a massive hole at the waterline. And while the crew is completely overwhelmed, other boats rapidly drop tethered naval mines directly into the ship's path. Stop the ship or risk snapping your keel in half. Then comes the second tactics: anti-ship missiles. If a swarm doesn't get you, the missiles will. Fired from highly mobile trucks that immediately retreat into fortified caves, coastal defense cruise missiles, like the Nor or Gator, employ a deadly trick: the sea-skimming kill. Allied destroyers rely on advanced networks like the U.S. Aegis combat system. The exact moment an Iranian missile is launched, a destroyer's radar tracks it and fires interceptor missiles like the SM-2 or SM-6, blowing the threat out of the sky mid-air. Meanwhile, Apache and Seahawk helicopters pick off swarm boats from the air using Hellfire missiles. But at the end of the day, the ultimate countermeasure isn't defense. It's offense. The US and its allies keep an armada of surveillance drones monitoring the Iranian coastline in real time. If they detect mobile missile launchers rolling out of mountain bunkers or boats loading mines at port, Allied fighter jets and ship-launched Tomahawk missiles are tasked with destroying them before they can fire a single shot. Hidden deep inside underground bunkers, these Iranian P-15 anti-ship cruise missiles posed a massive threat to international shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. To neutralize the risk, U.S. forces dropped multiple 5,000-pound deep penetrator bombs on hardened coastal missile sites. The weapon they used is a GBU-72, a 5,000-pound precision-guided bomb fitted with a JDAM kit.